Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's David Steele and you've just been looking at my truck, and today we're in a Renault T. About to get lost, I think. Oh boy. It's going to be one of those trips today, I think. In fact, it's been one of those days. It's been one of those... I don't know, couple of weeks. Alright, let's go ahead and successfully get to where I'm supposed to be today. Which I think is down here, I think, and then we turn right, maybe? Maybe. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so today I'm gonna visit this Steinbruck facility. I think it's a quarry. Find out, and we'll see if they have anything that one, I can take, and in terms of cargo, and two, for a more interesting journey. We're at Mannheim in Germany today. And I don't remember the last time I drove the Renault T. It would appear not recently, because these gators are unfamiliar to me. I've just been cycling through those as we drive along. I think that'll do me. We'll have the mileage showing. As you can see, I've covered 21 kilometers since I started this drive. So I'm hardly used to it, but what could possibly go wrong? Under the cab, as opposed to under the hood, we have a Renault DTi 13 engine. This is essentially a Renaultified, or a Frenchified, is that even a word? A Frenchified Volvo D13. And we've got the 480 horsepower version today, which has 2,400 newton meters, 2,400 newton meters of torque, which is somewhere about the sort of 1,750 foot-pounds, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and if I've done the calculations correct. Either way, it's a pretty respectable engine. It's not the top spec in the DTi range. They do go quite a bit higher. I think 520 in the Steel Productions engine pack, and I suspect there's a 540 available. Either way, we're not in the top spec, and we're not in the base spec, which is 440. We're in the middle of the road one. We've also got the Renault badged equivalent of the iShift. It's the OptiDrive or OptiDriver transmission, 12-speed automated. And our box today is a direct drive unit, the 264 final drive, 2.64, and it has a retarder, which should help me keep speed under control, but can make it a bit of a handful if you're driving bobtail, which of course you shouldn't be doing anyway, and that's assuming that you use the retarder, which you probably shouldn't do either. Oh, the retarder only impacts the driven wheels, which as you've seen earlier, and I'll show up here. I'll try and show off. We've got a 4x2 cab truck today, and so we're only braking the rear set of axles. That means we could come under a bit of braking issue, and I'll see if I can demonstrate. Okay, so right now it's locking up the rear wheels. I'm just going to turn off the engine brake there. I don't need to prove that I can crash. I think people will believe it anyway. This is not going to be fun to get out of. You might have to use the locking rear differential. Hope everyone's doing well. So as I alluded, it's been an interesting few weeks. I go away on vacation and it seems that everything changes. Well, not exactly. But getting sick after the vacation, and then just about getting back to normal when, unfortunately, an overhead electric cable took issue with me driving underneath it on my normal commute to work. Or perhaps it felt a sense of attraction towards the car. I don't know. I have an idea why it fell on me. Which unfortunately hit the A-pillar. So if you know your vehicles, or you've ever had something like this happen before, damage to the A-pillar or the windshield or windscreen pillar is usually considered structural, and so they write off the car, the vehicle, or they total it in American language terms. And as I record this, the assessor, or the adjuster, or the appraiser, or the estimator, whatever the correct term is, depending on where you're from in the world, reached out end of last week, said, your car's been referred to me because it's all busted up and we're likely to total it. Which, I mean, it sucks. There's no other expression for that, I don't think. And I am a sentimental person anyway. That's part of the course. But here, the fact that this car was what got me to be able to do various other projects. I won't go into bore people with the detail, but long and short are, when you emigrate to a different country, you have no credit history, you have no finance history. You start from scratch, and one of the best ways to get finance is buy a car with it, because the asset is secure. They can reclaim the car if you don't pay if you don't pay it. And so that's what I did. And I'd hoped to keep this particular car for a number of years, a long time. But unfortunately, after 4.5 years, it very much appears that I have to replace it, and they don't make them anymore. They don't make the Ford Fusion anymore. So, meh. Yeah, that's about the best I can say, really. I'm going to take some gravel to Salzburg. Probably should not have covered this topic of conversation, because it's already got me thinking just a little unfortunate, really. Or that little bit unnecessary, right? Where is my cargo? Oh, it's in the opposite corner. Okay, well, I guess we'll go up. Yeah, you know what? First things first. Let's get my locking differential turned on. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say I don't see an indicator for that, but there is an indicator just below the display, the map display. I think I can get through this way. This weather is filthy. Oh, I don't know whether I can. Can I fit under there? Yeah, I'm sure I can. Not like it's a cable or anything, right? Okay, maybe I won't try and fit under there. Right, well, luckily the Renault T has a very small turning circle. Okay. So I was reading about the Renault T, just a little bit, and it said it was considered an underrated truck. Most people will not look at the Renault, and necessarily most people will look at the Volvo FH series. Now, I know when Volvo first bought Mack, and therefore bought the Renault trucks arm of the business, they were very set that they would share components but not platforms. In some regards, a little bit different to, say, Volkswagen, who share everything across their various groups. This is a bit of a gradient. Let's try my engine brake. Possibly go wrong here, right? Apparently nothing, because it wasn't a locus wheel, it's wanting to use 4th gear. So yeah, so you can find a Mack engine in a Renault, or a Volvo engine in a Renault, but the underpinnings of the vehicle are different, they're unique. Now, I do not know if that is still true of the Renault T. It would seemingly make sense to share a platform as well as the engines and transmissions. But what do I know? So if you know something either way, I know I could absolutely look this up, but surely crowdsourcing the answer on YouTube is way better. Maybe. Okay. So the colour of today's truck actually has something else. It's a little hard to see. And it depends on how well you know your Fords, but the colour of this Renault is painted as close as I can find to a Ford colour called Grabber Blue. And +1 nerd point if you know a bit of history about the Grabber Blue colour, but right now, let's not worry about that. Let's get on the move. I guess I've got the trailer. Did I get it? Yes, I did. Okay, thank goodness. Right, we're off. So, what have we got now? £52,000 of gravel to Salzburg in Austria. Okay, that doesn't seem too bad. My main concern here is not so much gearing or power or torque of the engine, but it's getting the combination out of the yard, not that steep hill, because there's a lot of interesting roads, or interesting route out there. But we've locked the differential. That means that if it starts to spin, both wheels are going to be spinning, and you've got hopefully the best traction to get out of here. It is a heavy cargo. That's not helping me. But that weight, at least on the rear axle, should help things. Now, I could potentially put the truck into manual mode and try and shift gears myself, but I don't think I can add that much value unless I get stuck. So we'll let the auto box figure things out if it can. I mean, so far so good, we haven't got stuck, but that's not really as comprehensive as I was hoping for. Of course, I can hardly see, so it's throwing it down the rain. Wow, this is really light. Very little visibility here. Okay, so we made it around the first corner then. That's easier. That's way easier. Yeah, I can tell we're going up a hill because the engine's revving out. Okay. Well, let's jump in the cabin. That's not so... Oh, yeah, it's not so bad, but we're hitting every bump, I think. What are we in? We're in 5th gear. Alright. So we'll take this a little wide, like so, shift it up, lift off the power, avoid those big rocks, very close there. Oops, yeah, that's not sensible. Alright, so if I keep if I keep momentum or inertia up, if I keep the thing rolling, it should be easier. Momentum, I can't believe I did that. I just don't want to stop. Stopping is fine, restarting is not fine. So my game is hitching and lagging a little bit, but it's not... Oh, I would have felt that bump. Still drivable, still playable. Okay. The Renault T engine does sound nice, to be fair, given what it is. I'm not unhappy with how it sounds. Now I tried to tell it to shift up a gear then, and it ended up skipping a gear and going to 8th. Not having enough power in the next gear, and then downshifting right back down to 6. So I should have left it well alone. Okay, let's ease it around this corner here. Try and stick to the right side, as opposed to the correct side. Okay, that works for me. It's seemingly getting a little brighter, or maybe I'm just getting used to the fact that it's so dark. And what's on the left? We'll not be exploring there today. Okay, well, it wasn't quite as difficult as I thought it would be. I'm nearly going off the road there. Okay. I almost feel that we could probably turn off the locking diff right now. And the game does have an automated locking diff function, and I could say, yeah, let's turn it off. Right, that's got it turned off. That now means is that the rear wheels can independently spin of each other, and in turn that can cause some traction issues. It's not normally an issue unless you're using the engine brake and a slippery road surface like now, or the retarder maybe, or you're stuck up a gradient rail. as I remember, you're really not... at least ATS gets upset if you try and use it over 30 miles an hour. It's 30. It may even be 20, but either way, yeah, we don't need it right now. It's all good. Now, I'm assuming they'll let me out, although I don't see anything that... Oh, there we go. Great. Okay. Well, that wasn't such a bad run. Up and out of the... I guess it's a pit or a quarry, or I don't know what you call that. I think it's a quarry. Wow, there really is not much going on here. Okay. Right, we're finally off. So 480 horsepower is, like I've said, it's not a bad amount. I think it's plenty for what I should be doing today. My maximum speed is going to be 80 kilometers per hour, so I'm not going to need the power for speed. I'm going to need it for climbing those gradients. Not like I just wandered straight through without even stopping. I should just check at least both directions first. Okay. Look at my route. Oh, that looks cross country. Okay. That'll be fine. Right. Let's stick to the speed limit here. I don't really want to get busted speeding. I was going to say, I think the German speed limit is like 60 kilometers per hour, and that's exactly what it's doing, so... How much time do I have to complete the trip? Lots of time. 6.5 hours it reckons it'll take me to drive it. I have 11.5 hours before I have to get there, and my shift I've got 9.5 hours, so I've got lots of time here and we'll be completely fine. Even gives me time to stop and get a speeding ticket, maybe. Yes, even though the speed limit is 70 kilometers per hour for cars, for trucks it's still 60. Which is not quick. I mean, we're talking like really not quick. We're talking something like 36, 37 miles an hour. Good grief, it was nearly a head-on collision behind me. Let's bring that speed cruise control down by 5 kilometers per hour. So I've got a tight right-hander down here. See, I could just hear it, but the retarder was keeping my speed in check there. Sable cruise, and tell the world we're going to be turning right up here. Oh, the steering's a little sensitive. I would say who knew, but I think anyone that's driven a rear-wheel drive vehicle in the wet might have known. Okay, I'll try and manage my energy, my speed here. I don't really want to topple this combination. Does not want to change up. Bit of a... well, that was a big hitch actually. Not a bit of a hitch, it was a big hitch. Okay, we made it around the corner. Actually, I think we can stay in the right-hand lane here. Looks like. Okay. We're working this DTi 13 pretty hard. Well, I'll just turn my cruise control on. That'll bring me up to 80 kilometers per hour or 50 miles an hour. Let's just exercise a bit of caution here. I don't know how sharp this corner is in this vehicle. And I've spent quite a bit of time in the Iveco that really should teach me that if you think you're going to topple over, you're going to topple over. So just slow right down. Now the Renault Magnum and the Renault Premium are not so bad in that regard. The Renault T, I don't know, it looks kind of tall. You'd think it would be okay, but who's to say? Okay. Successfully merged, and I'm even using main beam or brights, depending on you want to call them. Yeah, we're working this engine hard up this gradient. Right, so we'll crest the hill, and there we go. Wonderful. It shifted up. I'm going to drop my cruise to 75, I think. Yeah, right decision there, because we're going down a gradient, so I do not want to overspeed and crash. So we'll let the retarder control the speed. And I'm happy to cruise to 75 on the flat. That's not a big deal for me. Especially in this kind of weather. I'm going to take a sip of drink whilst I just let things settle down. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's not exactly a secret. I have owned a Ford Fusion. I got one of the last ones that was made, and it was quite intentional because when a car manufacturer does a run-out model, in other words, they've stopped making them, or they're going to stop making them, a few things happen. One of which is that they will occasionally give a very steep discount, or at least a discount, before you've even negotiated with the dealer on the vehicle. But secondly, they'll quite often they'll rummage through all the extra bits they've got in the factory, and they will install extra stuff into the car. And so you may be looking at I'm going to use some old school European Ford terminology. You may be looking at a Ford Escort L or a Ford Mondeo LX, but you might find that you actually end up walking away with most of the bits from a GLX. And that's more or less what I did with my Fusion. It was a run-out model, and so it got the split HVAC system, the dual zone left-right climate control. I'm forgetting what exactly Ford call it. But at the time, I still felt fairly new to Texas, and it was finding the summer to be very uncomfortably hot. Whereas my good lady wife is most definitely acclimatized to the heat, and so she would have the temperature at 25 Celsius, 75 Fahrenheit, and I'd really be wanting it at like the 68, which I think is 19 Celsius. Either way, I was always finding it hot, she was always finding it cold. So the split zone, when we're traveling together, seemed like a good idea. Now, since then, we've both acclimatized. Well, I suppose I've acclimatized and realized that actually, 68 is cold. 75 can be cold depending on what I'm wearing. So a split zone is less of a need these days. The model I had was one of these newfangled small capacity turbocharged engines. It was the 1.5, so it was the baby of the range. Completely acceptable. Didn't have any issues with it feeling slow, other than I'm used to driving a fairly slow car. That's a real pretty view from behind me. Let's see if I can capture that. Safely capture that. Yeah, that is pretty. Okay, let's get back in the front. So yeah, and of course, looking forward to what I want to get next. I say want to get next. Always enjoyed my Fords. So I know what I'm thinking about, and grab a blue is a clue. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to be able to happen. Mostly, if they still made the Fusion, I would just get something very similar because it's completely fine. Wow, that sounds like a settle, if ever there was a settle. So we'll see. We'll see if I can end up getting my British backside into something very definitely American. And so, present company accepted. That kind of means it's got to be loud. It's got to be brash. It's got to approach a problem with a whacking great big hammer, maybe a chainsaw or a flamethrower. And so who knows? Who knows? I'll see what happens. But mostly, I didn't really want. Well, I guess nobody truly wants to have their car totaled. unfortunately, getting a semi-truck or a heavy-duty truck or a heavy goods vehicle is not realistic because I can't park it at home. The laws forbid it. I say the laws, the local rules and regulations for where I live forbid that sort of thing, don't you know? And I don't have a commercial driving license, so I don't really feel like buying a converted motorhome. If you see how much those things cost, if you see how much semi-truck costs, just so I can have one close to home, that's a bit too much. So I'm using my engine brake here just to get the edge off the speed. Let's kill the engine brake. We've got to, oh really, let's let this car go in front. Okay, there we go. Balance my speed very carefully here, because if we lose too much speed, we'll be down into the lower gears and struggling up the hill. But against that, it's quite easy to fall off the road on these little, it's like an exit on-ramp. It's a combined ramp. Okay, there we go. Squeeze a bit more power. And I guess I can't go that way. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, that's a real shame. Well, what is it about videos that I've driven ETS the day I'm recording this several times and never had an issue with a diversion like this, and I go ahead and do this one, and here we are. Wonderful. Okay, let's ruin the immersion and just take a look at the map. So, oh wow, you want me to go this way? Yeah, I can't go down here. That's not a junction. I got the lot. Are you kidding me? Okay, well let's just go this way. I think let's go to the south. I think we'll do that, because I don't see how I can really. Yeah, I don't think go the northern way is going to make sense. I'll have to go all the way around, almost via Nuremberg, and then catch. Well, I could potentially catch the E9 south into Munich, or E3 into Salzburg. Maybe even this pass here. That looks like fun. That is no, not in this weather. Okay, well I guess we'll take the diversion then. It might be nice if it stopped raining, but we'll see. I don't think it will. I think it seems to be setting for the day, and I set my rain probability as pretty high. Not 100%, but pretty high. So we'll run through this cloverleaf-like shape junction, and essentially come back on myself. Yay! Yeah, it's not so bad. It's whiny about it. The whole truck is just, the suspension's going crazy doing this. Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, cruise up to 75. We'll let the transmission take me back up to speed. I'm going to take another sip of my drink because it's actually quite pleasant. We'll slow up there. Okay, let me check the time. What have we got here? So it reckons it's going to be 4.5 hours. Yeah, I've got plenty of time, but I will tap my cruise up to 80 kilometers per hour. A little less time available in the budget now, because I've only got an hour and a half. That's a Eurofighter. Oh, look at that. I only have an hour and a half left in my time budget. It's another Eurofighter. Well, it looks more like a Raphael actually, but yeah. So I've got an hour and a half sort of spare time, or an hour and 40 minutes spare in the time budget before I reach the end of my shift. And if I'm traveling along at 75 kilometers per hour as opposed to 80 kilometers per hour, it will gradually ease into that time. ETS map has a compression on it. I forget what the ratio is. It's a little different to American Truck Simulator. And it's variable. That looks like a Raphael. It's variable depending on if you're in the city or if you're in the country. And so with that in mind, what that means is that you get some weirdness going on with your averages, your average speed and your distance. So long and short, I'll stick to the speed limit, and that time it reckons it will take me is going to be accurate enough. Well, let's look at the dashboard then. So, okay, keep right, then exit right. So my dash is showing me that I've covered 289 kilometers since I reset, and my average fuel consumption has been 6.8 miles per gallon, again since I reset, and some of that was driving bobtail. Most of that was driving with the cargo. My current instantaneous fuel consumption is 99.9, and I'm not using any fuel because we're coasting. I would say we're using engine braking, but we're not. Now we're using engine braking. So the fuel consumption so far on this DTi 13 is pretty respectable. Now it should be, because it's only a 13 litre. We haven't really worked it that hard. Yes, it's a heavy cargo, but not being too aggressive with it. Says as he clanks back on the cruise control, get myself up to 80. Got a white car, please move over, thank you. Okay, so that's my fuel computer, great. What else have we got? So we've got total number of miles, or kilometers here, 472 and a bit thousand. I have 1,366 litres of fuel remaining, which it reckons is going to get me something like 2,600 miles. Now, that's probably very optimistic, that range, 4,266 kilometers, but it's interesting. It's not a bad range. Next, we've got oil temperature, which has a weird kind of digital gauge, but hey, if it works, it works. 202 Fahrenheit, okay. And then next we've got, I believe the top one is diesel exhaust fluid, and the bottom one is just diesel, and it looks like it's 1 bar off the top. But we've also got a gauge to the left of that shows fuel remaining, and we've got plenty there. Okay, and then that's primary and secondary air tanks, so plenty of air in there. There's no cause for concern. And then we've got the nothing display, or in some Ford models they call it the calm display. And then after that we've got the fuel computer again. So okay, I'll keep it on that. That works for me. And then our speed is digital. It's obviously the 80, but that little small number to the left shows the cruise control setting, which it's 80 right now. And yeah, that's it seems like a modern interpretation of the Renault Magnum dashboard. I kind of like the simplicity of it. I don't know if you spotted this earlier. When you turn on the engine brake, the tachometer, the rev counter, shows a little blue set of illumination showing you that your optimal braking engine speed. So if I do that now, see how it reckons, you can use up to 2300 RPM when you're braking, which would sound quite dramatic, but you'd get a pretty good engine brake at that sort of engine speed, let's just say. However, I'll turn that off because I don't need that on right now. And otherwise, I mean, the cabin, it manages to look Renault funky, but it's got something I like. It's whopping great big knobs. Nah. It's got physical controls. Not all trucks and cars have physical controls. I really enjoy having a volume knob. That is one of those little features that Ford kept with the Ford Fusion when a lot of other vehicles didn't seem to have that volume knob. And I seem to recall that the EU or the American regulators have said that they want physical controls back in cars because touchscreens are too distracting. Well, yeah, I can see that should be a thing. The reason why I like the volume knob and push to turn off and turn on is it's very easy to operate. Very easy to operate without looking or paying attention to what you're doing. I'm looking at paying attention to where I'm going and not how loud my music is. That's my point. So yeah, with that in mind, look at that, I'm in the middle lane. Let's see if we can get a better shot of this colour. Yeah, it's a metallic. I've attempted to match, grab a blue back in my lane as best I can, but it's hard because, I mean, oddly enough, Ford don't give you the RGB for the metallic shades, you know, so you can put it in ETS2. I think they clearly should, because the F-Max is available as a mod, but hey, yeah, why didn't I drive that with a Ford colour? Oh well. Okay, let's go ahead and merge left. I mean, all up, if I had to say what I thought of this truck, if this really was a review of the Renault T, I'd be like, it's fine. It's not a bad little, I say little truck, it's not a bad truck. It's got reasonable visibility. I mean, what do you say? I very much like the Volvo dashboards, both the ETS2 and ATS. But this is it's got everything I need, given it's a modern truck. I mean, the older stuff with those rows of gauges is clearly what the true trucker's going to want, right? But I'm not a true trucker, so I'm not going to embrace it if I'm not it. Now I'm being a little wayward with the controls, but yes, I could be a little bit more delicate here. Go ahead and merge right. I suspect we may have to merge back left again. Yeah, we will, maybe. But I can leave it for now. Perhaps I can't. I thought I could, but I was wrong. So yeah, this isn't really a mod review. It's a stock truck that comes with the game. But I have no idea why I hadn't driven this before, or driven it much, because very pleasant experience. And it does feel a little bit like a Magnum, just some 25 years more up to date, which is lucky really, because that's kind of what it is. In some regards, anyway. Can't help but feel that Thunder's very, very realistic sounding. I can't help but feel how good this would be with the Mac E9 under there. Maybe the MP10 or MP11. That might be a mod idea. If you have an opinion there on whether I should put the Mac MP10 into the Renault T, let me know in the comments below. I think I know the answer to that. I mean, if you thought of it, then you really should, right? Why else would you think of it? Okay. My average mileage has gone up to 7.2 miles per gallon, which I think reflects the fact that we are now happily cruising along. The engine is sitting at its sweet spot. It's about 1100 RPM at 80 kilometers per hour. So it's right at the bottom part of its power band, of its torque curve, and I've got plenty of pull at this sort of speed if I need it. I just drop down. In fact, dropping down might even keep me in the 1000 to 1500 RPM power band, at least going by the tacho. I'm not going to concern myself with that. 7 miles per gallon hauling 52,000 pounds is very respectable. Game's a little janky, but it's not horrendous, and I pretty much know why the game is janky. It's because I haven't given this machine a reboot in quite a while. In fact, wow, 26 days. Yeah, I haven't rebooted my Windows machine in 26 days. Wow. Which I think it's when I got back from vacation. Now I think about it. Huh. Almost 4 weeks. Lost in a moment's thought, I was glancing at the dashboard, and at this cruising speed, the instantaneous fuel consumption is hovering around about 10 miles per gallon, which I think is pretty respectable. Now, yes, I'm doing 50 miles an hour as opposed to doing so 55 or 65, as you might be doing in the American game. And the faster you go, the more fuel that you need to keep the thing rolling. But all said and done, 11 miles per gallon now, instantaneous at this speed. That's not bad going. And the cab-over designs that they use in Europe are, according to what I read online, which clearly not everything you read online is going to be legit, but that was explaining that the coefficient of drag on a modern cab-over is surprisingly lower than the coefficient of drag or the CD on a conventional American truck. And that's not what I would necessarily have thought. I would have thought that the American truck would fare better in terms of drag. But no, that's not what they've discovered when testing. Now, it is true that European trucks are generally more sophisticated than the American trucks. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of the American trucks. I find the European trucks to be a little devoid of character. But upon reflection, let's face it, I think modern cars are kind of devoid of character. I even think back to some of the cars I had as a kid, or as a young adult, or the ones that were available, maybe the cars I wanted. They had lots of character. Now, character here can be defined as they'll find a tree when you go around a corner too fast. And certainly the modern Euro trucks are got a lot of safety aids that, yes, I believe the American ones do as well. But it's not difficult to crash a semi. It just made it a little bit harder. Okay. Ooh, we're almost at my destination. That was actually a pretty reasonable run. I'm surprised at how smooth that went, all things considered. I thought after we got the diversion we would be done for, we just wouldn't get there in time. But no, apparently I was wrong. And we have 2 hours left of my shift, which is good. My driver will start to yawn very soon, but in fact, I think it's 2 hours and 4 minutes is when he yawns. But he's not yawning yet, so works for me. It's probably helped that it's been dark, so there's been less traffic. Huge amount of jank there. Wowzers. Okay, let's go ahead and turn him. Cab-overs are just way more easier to maneuver than the conventionals. They're not as stable, and that's a big thing though. I roll the cab-overs way easier than I roll the conventionals. Okay. Turn left here. I may have to back it into the spot, but I think right now we'll see how we go here. Okay, use my mirrors to try and line everything up. More or less. I don't know whether I've quite got it in the spot. Let's see. No, I haven't. Okay, so let's jump to the external. Yeah, okay. I'll have to maneuver back and forth. I figured that I would. That's okay. We'll use as much room as we can. Got quite a basic exterior specification on this truck. We've got some of the Evolution parts. But for the most, we don't have the full aero package. We don't have the side covers, for instance. But in fact, we actually got grey mirrors as well, which I think was an Evolution thing. I think I messed this up. I mean, it shouldn't be difficult to mess this up, but I managed it. It shouldn't be easy to mess this up, even though I still managed it. Yeah, it's janking a lot, but plays around with some of the visual effects. Okay, let's turn it. Yeah. There we go. Good enough. Okay. Alright, parking brake on. Let's get those lights off. I'm not going to let the... Yeah, I'll turn the engine off and we'll disconnect in a second, but just look at the colours there. How the different panels look like, the different shades. Just because you've got a couple of metallic hues around it, but I quite like that colour. I think the real colour's got a little bit more grey in it. But yeah, I like it. Right, let's see how well we did. So we covered 531 miles. That's about 350-ish, I think, if memory serves me correctly. No, it's a little bit less, maybe 330. We used 166 litres of motion lotion, which is about 7. It's over 7 to the gallon, somewhere between 7 and 8. So I'll go with that 7.5. Yeah, it's about that. So that's 7.5 miles per gallon from something hauling 52,000 pounds. Yes, I was doing a slow speed, but that's very respectable. Very respectable indeed. Yeah, I'm happy with that. My average speed is like 38 miles an hour, give or take, I think. So, given what we're doing and where we're doing it, that works. Yeah, that was a good run. Well, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got something from it. Hope you didn't find my ramblings to be too boring. And yeah, if you've enjoyed it, you know what to do. If you think it sucked, you also know what to do. And I'll see you soon. I'll see you the next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Goodbye.